I'm Sarah, and I am going to record another fairy hair sparkling tutorial today. I was gifted this phone a little while ago and it's got a much better camera, so I think we'll be able to see a little bit more clearly. And I want to go over a particular couple of sticky spots in the knot that I think will be really helpful for those of you who are trying to learn how to tie. This is exclusively for the silk fairy hair. It's the single hair and single fairy hair sparkle tying method. I sell only silk fairy hair at fairyhairsparkles.com, and it's all that I use in my practice when I sparkle. So I really want to encourage people to keep trying this method. I know that it's hard to learn. I've been doing it for 10 years, so it seems easy to me. It can be really discouraging at first, but it just takes practice and determination. So I want to encourage you to keep trying. It's normal to struggle in the beginning. I did, and I'll show you how to get over one of those like really hard spots. I want to discourage people away from falling back to that easier slip knot method. It's really important that we don't tie people's hair together for a number of reasons, but one of which is just to avoid possible discomfort. It can pull those hairs away from the scalp and be uncomfortable, but also in my experience, people just don't like having a knot, a little clump of hairs tied together in their hair, and they won't want to come back and get more. This is what I've seen over and over and over again. For the most part, people don't want that. This method has one hair with one sparkle attached to it, so it's just adornment. We're not tying anybody's hair together. We're just adding a little sparkle. It doesn't catch on hairbrushes. My customers love it because it's so low maintenance. They can flat iron and curl, they can go get their hair. I have people who get their hair colored and cut every month, and the sparkles just hang out until that one hair decides to go. So sometimes it's months. My customers are used to that, so I'm not going to change what I do. They're super durable. Yeah, so I'm going to go over that knot again. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more clear visually, and then I'll go over the sticky spots where people tend to get stuck. Sorry for the sound quality. I don't have a microphone yet, so I'm just using my cell phone, and the sound is going to be different when I'm up closer to the phone. So I'm just making a little backdrop for us, so hopefully that'll make things more clear too. So let's go over the knot again from the beginning, and then I'll show you how to avoid some very common mistakes, the mistakes that I made and most everybody I've taught make. So from the beginning, and you can practice this just with thread at first. You don't need fairy hair to start. So we're going to line up the hair in the sparkle together end to end. Find a hair that we like, find a sparkle that we want. And then I'm a righty, so I use my left thumb and ring finger to pinch the hair and the sparkle together and slide down to the root. Then I grab the top two with my top two fingers and make what Dancing Hands calls this little tension window here. Now we're ready to take our pixie hook. This is the little natural handled one. We make sure that the latch is open and that it doesn't have lint in it. And then we're going to turn it hook side down away from us. Yeah, oh, there's still lint on there. Hook side down away from us. Grab that hair and that sparkle together. We're going to pull these down and under our thumb and ring finger and then pinch again. So we've got a really nice hold of that loop. I'm pinching like right in the middle of my finger pads there. Then we're going to twist back up. We're going to pop that loop off of the latch that's on our latch hook, our pixie hook, and then grab the hair and the sparkle. I like to grab behind. Dancing hands, you'll see, and other sparklers might lay this down on top. It really doesn't matter, whatever's more comfortable for you. Just pick one. So I like to grab behind this way. I just like the pressure of that better. Now that loop, because we still have tension on it, we're still gripping, is going to close that latch for us. Yeah. And then we can loosen with our top two fingers as we pull them through that loop that we made. This is really important. We're going to keep holding on with that pinch, the bottom ring finger and thumb. We're going to grab the hair and the sparkle together and pull, 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 pull until that knot closes. And this is the part where it's really easy for it to slip right out from under your fingers. You really don't want to let that happen. So I will even kind of push toward the scalp a little bit at this point with my thumb and ring finger to close that knot so it doesn't slip out. Right? I'm kind of like using my nail a little bit at this point. Then when you feel it close, that's cool. You can let go. And what I like to do to secure these to make sure they're really, really, really not going to come undone is I drop the hair. I pick up just the tail of the sparkle that I just tied. And then, I'm still holding on with the hair and the sparkle over here. And I give one last, I'm going to try and get this in focus. One last, see how that knot is not totally flat yet? I don't know if we saw it for a second. Let's try to get it to focus. Oh yeah, here. So pull one more time and that will like flatten out that knot the rest of the way. Let's see if we can see that. Can we see that? I think you get the idea. That knot is all the way closed at this point. Oh, I had it for a second. There we go. Yeah, so that's a nice tiny little closed knot. There's no loops in it. And we're done at that point. So that's the fairy hair knot. I'm gonna go over, oops, sorry. Bumped the phone. I'm going to go over the most common mistake that I see tying this thing. And it's a mistake I made over and over and over when I was first learning, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I'm hoping that this review helps you out so you can avoid that frustration. Let's do Christmas colors. Okay, so I'm going to show you with my hands, I think, because it's a little bit easier to demonstrate. This common mistake that happens. So say you've lined up your hair and your sparkle. You have your thumb and ring finger pinch. You've grabbed with your top two fingers. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to work here. Say my fingers are my hook for now. This is the hand tying method, right? And I've made this loop. And I've pinched. So right here, there should be an X under your fingers, right? You can't see it, but you can feel it, hopefully. Or maybe not. But anyway, there should be an X there. Normally, what you do with the knot is to continue that twist to keep that cross as you come back up to grab the hair and the sparkle and pull them through. And this makes a crisscross knot. It's the same kind of little crisscross as when you're tying your shoes, right? That's your knot. However, if you, let's grab a couple more. If you undo that twist that you made, and it's really hard to know if you did because it is really hard to feel, then you're not going to have anything for the knot to knot to. I'll show you what I mean. So I've got my pinch, I've got my top two fingers on the top and my thumb and ring finger on the bottom like I'm supposed to. I've got my twist here. Beautiful, right? Come down, I've got my X. but what if I accidentally, unknowingly, untwist this as I'm coming back up to grab the sparkles? So now I have a U. See how it's open? And then I grab these two, the hair and the sparkle together. It seems like everything's going well. I've still got the pinch. I close it, right? And then I'm closing, I'm closing, I'm closing. And what happened? Oh no, there's no knot. What the heck? The reason there's no knot is because you undid that twist. So that is, I did that over and over and over for days, and I couldn't figure out why, like 50% of the time my knot wasn't catching. So there's a couple ways around this. One is to just pick your twist. So I tend to go clockwise. This is just what I do. I'm twisting kind of down and around toward myself, and then come back up. I just continue that motion, so that I've got my knot. If I were to back up, so if I were to, let's show you, open, hook side down, twist. If I were to back up and untwist, this is probably not gonna work. Let's see. Oh no, what? Why is there no knot? What happened? So some people I've seen who do the single hair silk tying method that we're doing here, we'll do an extra twist. Oh, that lint again. We'll do an extra twist at the bottom here, just to make sure, right? Like, doop doop. I've seen that. Totally acceptable. The only thing I would caution is that you're going to have a little extra work for yourself at the end, just to make sure. So this is perfect. We're closing, we're pulling through, we're loosening with the top two fingers. We've got our pinch, we've got our twist. The only issue is that you might, when you're done with this knot here, see how it's a little chunky? It's got a little extra twist in it. We don't want that, right? So you definitely want to make sure you grab that tail and pull that knot again to make sure it's totally flat. And at this point, it's nice and closed. And it's hard for you to see that, but focus for me, little guy. There we go. So that's a nice tiny knot. But it was kind of chunky in the beginning, you saw, yeah? This even, so I'm looking at it, I'm actually seeing that the hair still has, if the blue one's the hair, it's still got a tiny little bump in it that I don't like. So I would even probably drop this tail of the sparkle, the green, but I'd keep the tail on this side and pull. So I'm not pulling away from the scalp at all because I don't want to yank on anybody's head, but I've got the hair that's on the other side of the knot and the sparkle tail, and I'm going to close this even tighter. I'm going to do one more pull. There we go. Just to make sure there's not another loop in there. I don't know if you can see that. It almost needs, maybe it needs the fairy hair pulled tighter. There we go. Oh, I heard a click. So that's the only danger with doing the double twist, is that you might end up with a kind of a funny loop in your knot at the end. So I would practice what I do with just the single twist, but just make sure you're consistently going the same direction every time so that you don't make that U, right? So I'm just going to show one more time just for practice. Hook side. So we got our thumb and ring finger down here, our top two fingers on top. Oh, one other helpful thing is that I like to make this pinch like a little bit further back on my fingers. I'm not pinching way the tips here because then it's more likely that I'm going to pull that knot free of my fingers when I go to close it because I don't have enough space. So here I'm giving myself lots and lots of space to pinch with, all this extra room here under my finger pads, so that when I come to pinch the loop, I make this loop and I pinch here, I have lots of space to grab. I'm not like way at the tips of my fingers. If I were, let me show you what happens very commonly. If I'm grabbing here at the tip, oh, I'm already like, that doesn't feel good to me at all. Open the latch, hook side down. I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna pinch my loop. Now I've got like almost no space to hold on with. Coming off that latch, everything's still good. Close the latch, pull these guys through, loosen the top 2 fingers, pull them through. But here, like, it's gonna be really easy to accidentally like, boop, like pull that out from under my fingers, and now the knot's sliding down away from the scalp, right? So that's not what we want, because now this person's gonna have, you know, their knot's gonna be like another inch down their hair. Not the end of the world, still totally fine. Fairy hair knot happens constantly in the beginning. This is where you practice with your friends, right? Your friends who let you practice on them get knots that are a little bit further down until you get a better feel for that pinch. So if you give yourself a little bit more space here under your finger pads, grab with the top 2 fingers, open your latch, hook side down, do your twist, come back up the same way you twisted, off the latch, grab your hair and your sparkle, close the latch, loosen with the top 2 fingers. Now I've got a really nice solid pinch down here because I started kind of further back. Now I can pull as hard as I want and it's going to stay under my fingers because and I might even, like I'm doing right now, I'm pinching a little bit more with my nail just to make sure it doesn't get away from me. And I've got my knot. I would like to make sure it's totally closed, so I'm going to grab the tail and pull one more time. Yeah, there's a nice tiny tight knot. Yeah. Advanced sparkling, you might grab the hair one more time and pull again. Ooh, yeah, to make that knot even flatter. See how that pulled it even flatter? I think part of the reason this is happening with this, these are the thicker fairy hair strands, the prismatic ones that we used to have that don't stay tied. And I think that's why, like what you're seeing, those little extra bumps that are in there, it's kind of hard to get them out. So, and also they're just heavier, so they're gonna weigh thicker on the hair. So this is the problem with like the cheapy ones that you get on Amazon and stuff. They're just too thick and stiff, and they just untie themselves because it's hard to get that knot tight enough. And the ones on Amazon that I tried, like there were hair flares and La Demoiselle and stuff like that. They just I would tie them as tight as this, but they would like work themselves free over time. So the silk really makes a difference. So I hope that that's helpful. I'm gonna do another, I just don't want this to be super long, so I'm gonna do another video about keeping that knot closer to the root, but it's super common for it to be an inch or 2 away in the beginning, and that's totally fine. Still better than no sparkles. I think people will let you practice on them happily while you're getting closer, and it just takes more practice and more time getting comfortable with that pinch, getting your hands used to that. It's almost like I said, like learning how to use chopsticks. You get better at it with time. So I will make another video. I'm hoping to do more YouTube content in general, so if you have any ideas, I would love to hear your feedback in the comments. I want to make more stuff for you, and I want to help people do this kind of sparkling if I can, because I think it's so nice, and I would love the world to be more sparkly, and I would love you to help do that. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll post more soon. Thank you.